It seems we were called upon to broadcast from the Pillow Fort one more time. Hi, Free Enterprise fans out there. The moon is open once again, as we are hosting this matchup in the round 64 of the Highway to the Zemus Zone between the number 1 seed, defending champion of the Loyal League, xPankraz, and StupidSecksyFlanders. I am Demarine. I am joined this fine evening by Nth. Nth, what's up? How's it going?
Grandpa's home, finally.
And he brought chocolate.
Yes, it's a foo start. The only way you can get foo on this particular flag set being in the start, it's the third time that I personally have seen him in these flags. It's really interesting to see every time it comes up because it really does just completely upend the way you approach a seed.
I mean, Fu is easily like the number 1 best hero for sure. 20 agility at the start of the game is enough to get you through the start of the game. He gets some real powerful spells, sometimes really early on as well. And then, he's just really useful as a utility mage, can cast healing spells, can cast nuke. You throw up a curse ring on him, he's got 5 agility, so you're perfectly anchored for the Zeromus fight. Fu starts mean fast siege usually, because it's usually party time right from the word go.
Absolutely, but it can also sometimes lead to that bit of slowness at the start with the Fu challenge that we have in the Free Enterprise randomizer as a whole, where he only starts out with, I believe, 6 spells at the start, and then gains 3 every time you beat a boss. I've seen a lot of runners actually starting with that Mist Cave and Waterfall Cave just to get that Fu online even quicker.
Even like any tier 2 spell is real good.
Yeah, definitely. And it's just, I like these sorts of starts that force you to think outside of how you normally would. You get that sort of usual, it's a Cecil start, you're just going to go through and just try and get to ordeals as quickly as you can, and it's pretty standard from there. You get your usual Kane start, it's fine. This really makes you try and figure out when you have that power to go forward and just go for it from that moment onward without looking back. And I really like that sort of forced decisiveness.
Yeah, maybe it'll cause Flanders to make some gambles here. I mean, being down 1-0 to arguably the hottest runner in Free Enterprise, certainly the best runner of 2021, is not exactly a good time, but maybe it gives you the power to gamble, the power to kind of try something that you normally wouldn't try, or maybe catch a break where you normally wouldn't catch a break, where you're probably going to need 1 or 2 to get through this one and get to a game 3.
Absolutely. I don't want to spoil anything for yesterday, but I did watch a good portion of yesterday's race between the two of them, and I will say that if there's anyone who can beat Pankraz at this point, this is a very good candidate for it because Flanders was with him basically the whole time. But hey, we've got a Magma Key start and a Palom start as well.
The Underworld is our oyster, and this is going to be a wide open seed. We do start with 1 to 2 sirens. There's always the urge to go down and crack that siren pretty much instantly. Try and maybe get some levels on this party if you've got like stop on Fu or a big spell on Fu, but we'll see how they decide to play it out. Also, loot in the underground's also better, so maybe we won't see watery paths today. We've seen a lot of watery paths this week.
Definitely, and it also means that we do have access to an objective right off the bat as well, so we're only hunting 3 out of 4 instead of 4 out of 5. We know that we can get to that boss of Lower Babel at any point in time. It's just a matter of once we actually get the power to get there. It looks like Pankraz is actually going to start over here at Mist Cave and maybe look at trying to take a boss to power his Fu up a little bit.
Oh, that's a find right there. Hey, Wyvern, what's up?
Well then, I don't know what I was expecting out of this, but it wasn't that. Yeah, this is a great opening boss.
Yeah, I mean, blast them with wind, but the lunar staff in the front row center is more than enough. And unlike all these other seeds that we've been seeing objectives at like an hour and a half, we get our first objective at $1.30.
I'm trying to think of the last time I saw a race restreamed on any of our tournaments this year at all where we had an objective done at 1.5 minutes into the seed. I think maybe there was like some Lolly-Ho League seeds where you had finished Mist Cave as an objective that were up there, but that's pretty much as fast as possible to get that start.
Yeah, Flanders is going to go check the free chest down here in Fey March to start, so is maybe considering saving to do... Yep, saving to loot down here too. Black Shirt to start is pretty great, +5 Wisdom. It's been fixed, so it actually affects your Black Magic stat. So I think trying to take advantage of some loot down here. xPankraz continues to find freebies, I guess, because here's Water Hag.
Well, I guess if you wanted a seed that's going to show off what you can do with Fu once you get him powered up, the seed really wants you to get that Fu powered up right away. We've got that Wyvern that you're not going to not take that since it's an objective either way, and now we have a Water Hag for free as well. This is really good as a start, and I'm almost a bit worried for Flanders having taken what might have... It would be the route I would take, to go check the freebies first instead. But I'm almost worried it won't pay off just because of this real big initial start here.
Yeah, I mean, xPankraz might just absolutely minimize the amount of looting he does here and just decide to say, hey, Fu is more than enough loot that I need, and just decide it's time to not open boxes. Remembering, Fu does get his starting gear set up, so Fu's got a Sork Shirt, Fu's got a Diamond Ring, Fu's got a Lunar Staff, you know, he's got a Wizard Hat. He's feeling pretty geared, honestly.
Hey, what do you think is the best key item that you could possibly get in these flags and this particular seed that doesn't get an objective? Because I think it's probably that tower key that xPankraz just picked up for getting that Antlion spot down.
Now you don't even need to do Keyless Tower. That rules. This is great. Like, what a start for xPankraz. Flanders is probably going to do all that stuff pretty quickly once he gets back above ground, so I'm sure that this isn't lost time yet. Twin Harp located down here in the underground as well, so it does get a key item, so we've got a chaining item. We don't have a big physical fighter to get through that big magic defense, though, so it's not the best thing to see.
Well, that's a Rosa, which is a nice thing to see, but that's a Golbez, which is not the greatest thing to see. I mean, I guess he already has Palom down, so this is about the best situation to run into a Golbez, but that's fine. And hey, there's a Valvalis and Octoman down in the Fey March we're never going to see.
No Val is good times for these runners as well. That's one of the worst bosses that we could see at this point.
Absolutely, and really at this point too, having that Wyvern out at a particularly easy spot, having this Golbez out at a particularly easy spot where he's not going to suddenly turn around and just nuke everyone to death the moment that he unparalyzes everyone is pretty good too. Yeah, this is... I didn't think that we were going to see as nice of a start as we saw in the race we were on yesterday, but I guess we might be proven wrong on this one.
Just absolute gas already. Unbelievable. Starveil out on Fu. I mean, clearly xPankraz cares about one character and one character only.
Kind of interested in why the Fu there, because I wouldn't think that a spell from Golbez would knock Fu down, but I won't question it. I obviously don't know as much as xPankraz does, so...
Yeah, it gotta be a little safe, I suspect. It's just, you know, the Starveils aren't... You've already got Wyvern, and, you know, you don't need to use a Starveil there. You know that you have 3 of them for sure, and you'll get wall pretty fast with this party. So I don't think he's worried about having Reflect when he needs it. Maybe he tries to sit back on 1 for the end game now, because we are looking at Tri-Mages, so... if this comp doesn't change much, you're going to want to have a Starveil for Zeromus, but that's really it.
Yeah, I'm trying to think... Actually thinking more on it, what bosses are remaining that you would burn a large number of Starveils on anyways that would be useful other than that Zeromus fight. And I think maybe Asura if you had to, but you won't have to with this party. So...
Asura, maybe Levy, maybe Plague. That's probably about the extent of it here.
Definitely, and I almost feel like if he runs into one of those now, he can just go somewhere else and come back later anyways, so it probably won't throw him too badly.
Alright, Flanders is going to start up the party here, going to head up over to Antlion Cave, so is going to start checking out the overworld here. xPankraz not terribly interested in doing anything on the Fabul side of the map here, so no Fabul, no ordeals yet. It looks like he's going to crack the underground and maybe get his loot scoot on too.
I almost wonder if this is going to be something like you mentioned at the start, where you crack a Siren early on, and maybe with a Siren and up another boss or two, you're good to start taking some of these underground checks with Fu. I don't think we've seen any real good damage spells on that Fu yet, though, and that's the only thing that's really holding this party back right now.
Yeah, no gas in the tank just yet, so we'll see. Looks like we're going to go with some power staff strats here for Flanders. Sticks Palom in the back row. I think the interesting thing here is that Flanders is likely to get more experience in this sort of earlyish mid-game on the kid than Pankraz has. Might pay off, might be useful to have those level 2 spells on hand for like a 3-boss ordeals drive or something.
Yeah, definitely, and if Pankraz is committing hard to this underground stuff and there actually happens to be just really good key items over on that sort of east half of the map, then that could be another way he could pull out a very early advantage too, because I almost feel like I wouldn't be surprised, given that he's already gone underground, done that stuff. I feel like Flanders is going to be very incentivized to keep going on that overworld checks first.
Yeah, like we said, can't really call what Flanders did to start time lost, honestly. Like, the only thing that will get Flanders in trouble is not stopping by that mist cave at this point. Because you can see Pankraz is doing a lot of the same things right now. You know, likely to go check out and see if Mist Dragon is hiding down here and then pop back out. Even going to check the armor shop for cursed rings, maybe.
I don't think that Flanders will fade that mist cave forever, at very least. I think he'll definitely go back and check it at some point. So what I'm looking out for now, if that's the case, is when we get a good set of spells on Fu, because that one boss advantage might be the big swing there. That's kind of the fun of Fu with the whole Fu challenge thing is that it really does sort of make that do you take extra early bosses thing a real big question, because let's say you have like Nuke just randomly drop onto your Fu all of a sudden, then you're way ahead if you get that way earlier than your opponent does. Flanders now going to be in this Golbez fight.
Yeah, it gets the team poisoned, so is not going to have to deal with the paralysis, which is nice. I'm going to do some inventory rearranging while Golbez talks. And the nice thing when we talk about like whether you take bosses or, you know, you do exploration and looting here is it creates, especially with Fu, it creates extra tension. Right? It's another variable you've got to juggle in your head. And that makes the game really hard, right? Because the more things you have to think about, the more likely you are to make a mistake, and that's a big deal.
It's kind of the problem with things that you would think would make things easier, is that because they open that much, yeah, exactly, there's so many different options on the table at this point, and none of them seem particularly better than the other. It's really just a question of which one hits. And there's a heroin robe here in the Tomra shops for that Rosa if Pankraz wants to pick it up, and it looks like he wants to based off of this sale right now.
Yeah, they've been reduced in price to 40,000 gold. Rivers really wants you to buy them. This one came from Rivers, so you know this was a Rivers idea, but you know wants you to buy those heroin robes. They're real good. They're like tier 5 now. Please buy heroin robes. They're so good.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I feel like if you're newer to the randomizer, you might see that like minus spellcasting stats and think, oh, I don't want that on my Rosa, on my Rydia, on my Porum. But in the end, at very least, like on Rosa as a particularly prime example, she can do a lot of physical damage anyways. So you might as well just throw it on her, and she's probably not going to have too much of a drop in her healing capacity anyways, at least short term.
Yeah, and usually when you're equipping the heroin robe, you're doing it because you want to just use your Rosa as an archer, just to give you the extra physical output and do some extra damage here. The firebomb cash out I think made Pankraz get through this Golbez fight an awful lot faster, but Flanders is also through and going to add Rosa to the team here, so I'm going to be feeling pretty good about that. Pankraz is still like attempting to figure out how much inventory he wants to dump on the ground here for money, because he wants a charm rod for the kid, wants that plus 10 wisdom as well, so wants to make sure that he's keeping his 2 black mages happy and equipped here.
Definitely, and it's interesting to see that he's just going and doing the shopping and doesn't seem to actually be going for any of the checks and like that. I'm not like particularly surprised, but it is an interesting route. I almost expected him to try and like go for a dwarf castle check or something like that early on, because I thought maybe he thought he could get through it, but I guess this is more his plan, is just get through these freebies first at least.
Yeah, you take this back up, you take the Sheila 1 check with your Fabul check, and then you head on down to Ordeals, and you've got 4 bosses. 4 bosses, 3 key items. It seems pretty good at this point, even knowing that Wyvern's out, Miss Dragon is still around, so that always matters a lot.
Definitely. Flanders going to give us the first look at who this Fabul boss is, and it seems like it is going to be, once the sprite actually shows up here. Oh, there's some computers.
Sand should never have been allowed to think.
Yeah, absolutely not. Yeah, these aren't going to last very long, are they?
No, we're going to be swinging away with these double power staves. Rosa also is pretty powerful at this point in time, so it's only 1,260 hit points on the rear orb. So we got a bow and a couple of back row glitch power staves. Yeah, this is fine. I'm okay with this. This is Mage's beat down the sequel, I guess. I love this.
Absolutely, and the only real problem here is that the CPU fight always sort of takes a while no matter what you're doing with it, just because it's such a weirdly set up fight to begin with. Can't use your really strong magic, which I don't think we even have on Fu at this point anyways. Guess we have Ice 2 already on the kid, so that's helping out a little bit there. But Flanders is through, so we're about to see what he'll get out of this Fabul check, and presumably Sheila 1 too, because I believe he set that up as well.
Yeah, he certainly did take the trip down to the underground and to Sylph Cave, so we'll have both checks here in just a moment. But the king has got to hand over something. In vanilla, this is just the black sword, but today it is a different sword, a slightly glowier sword.
A much more important sword. Here's the question: what if Sheila has the Adam?
Get a Fusoya stat stick, I guess.
Do you head back underground right away, or do you wait a little bit?
No, you absolutely wait. There's no need to go get it right now. Go do other things. Wow! Hey, stop that.
Well, that happened.
You know we're gonna get in trouble for predicting the future, right?
Yeah, I'll try and pretend I can't predict the future again here. But yeah, you're not going back underground for a Fusoya stick quite yet. Unless you think it would give you a big advantage on maybe popping it onto that Palom, because I believe anything that Fu can get here probably is equipable by Palom as well.
Yeah, the other big thing here is that puts us in a really interesting spot, as Flanders is going to find this Wyvern in just a second, beat it over the head with some sticks. We are literally Earth Crystal from Go mode without Moon access, and Darkness Crystal away from straight up Go mode period.
Absolutely. Having access to 3 objectives already 15 minutes in is really massive. Especially when you consider how many of these seeds we've had in this tournament where, we kind of get an hour in and no one's completed an objective yet, and then they all happen in 20 minutes. This is hopefully not the opposite, where we complete almost all the objectives in 20 minutes and then spend an hour looking for the last one.
Hey, and guess what?
What?
They're gonna go to the giant.
They are gonna go to the giant, aren't they?
Oh, they're certainly going to go to the giant. It's going to be the short stop on the way to Cave Bahamut, and then to Zeromus, probably.
Definitely. That's the one downside of these mage parties, is no matter what, you need that, you need those levels regardless, so I guess they're kind of stuck into doing a grind, and at this point in time, really only the giant grinds are there, unless we find an edge, and even then, you'd probably want a slingshot anyways.
Both runners go to forge Power Shirts, Artemis Bow, or what was that? Power Shirts, Artemis Bows, look like Pro Rings, and I missed the last one. I'm sure we'll see it in a sec.
It was a defense sword for the Kane and Cecil we don't have yet.
Ah, yes, for the Knights of the Round Table that don't exist in the seed. Got it. Here's a White Mage Staff.
I kind of feel like that's the worst of the two that you were hoping to find here, just because you're probably hoping for a bit more power onto your Palom and Fu at this point in time, but I mean, that'll really help Rosa later on when we get towards the end of the seed. If Rosa can equip that, I'm not sure on that, actually. I don't remember these weapons well enough.
Both runners forge instantly. Flanders is taking a moment to decide where he wants to go next. It is going to be to crack open a siren or two here and get some levels on this crew, it looks like.
Yeah, the problem with just going up the tower is that the top of tower is incredibly tanky for a boss spot because it's that split Luge spot. And so while it may not pose a big threat to them, I can definitely see where you would want a few more levels just so you can do the damage to get it down and not have it take anywhere near as long. And also to quickly answer a question from chat, no, K-Summon is not on in these flags.
Yeah, no need to do that at all, so... Pankraz has decided that cracking eggs is not a thing he wants to do. He wants to go and scramble some bosses on Ordeals instead. 3 bosses, key item, seemingly a good play for sure on both sides. I love levels. I think, getting your Rosa a bunch of levels really matters a lot here.
I think it's a very interesting divergence where neither one necessarily is better than the other in this particular case, because if Flanders lands on that Darkness Crystal, then he pretty much wins the game from there. But it looks like he's actually going to head back to Baron Inn instead.
Yeah, we got chat. Railstar letting us know Pankraz sold a siren to get the money necessary to buy the Artemis bow. So he is committed to just unloading on his problems with the longbow here.
Well, elements for Edward is interesting in this particular case. We're about to see the 2 different rubies. Well, never mind. One ruby's already gone, unfortunately. Ice 2 is a very good spell at this point in the game.
And Fire 1 just one-shots first elements here anyway, so we're not even going to get any leg on in Baron Inn here.
Oh no, it turned out that Edward was the 3 Magus sisters in a trench coat all along.
So the worst thing here is that the nice thing about having this Rosa with full power Artemis bow, heroine robe, is that she's so fast and hits so hard against this Plague Eyeball that this is just a clean 2-shot. Normally that can be really scary. You can see your timers get down as deep as 4 or 3 before you actually even get an action in the back attack spot, and instead Pankraz just rolls up and rolls out because this is deep a problem for him at this point.
Absolutely, and I just want to point out over on Flanders' side in that Magus Sisters fight, he actually just knew that the spell would go off on Sandy in the back before it caused any problems and just knocked her out before she could even drop the wall on Cindy there, which is not a strategy I've ever seen anyone take in the Magus Sisters fight before, but it was extremely effective.
Yeah, and then one Quake later is also just going to zip on through there. Luca Key is here, so going to add a key to the key ring here. We've got 3 out of the 4 keys right now. Pankraz at the top of Ordeals is going to get his hands on the sheet of paper. Not technically a key item, but super, super useful because that is your free ticket to fighting Zeromus without having to go up to the moon, which means Earth Crystal is Go Mode. It is a known Go Mode finish for him now.
That's really, really interesting, because if we get Darkness Crystal as our way to Go Mode, at least over on Flanders' side, he'll be able to not necessarily be as punished for not having the pass. But especially if he continues to fade Ordeals, there is a chance he goes back up for it later. But it also means that that is a bit of an advantage there. And really, I feel like out of all of the non-Go Mode key items, well, key item check things you could get at this point, outside of like the Pan or the Rat Tail that could give you that Go Mode, Pass is probably the best option right now, because that might actually be a really quick way of getting this seed done. Like, if you get the Earth Crystal pretty soon, we could be out of here in less than an hour, I feel.
Yeah, this could be incredibly fast. Fu, of course, wastes Dark Elf with the baseball bat here, so just going to take a couple of swings and get us on out of here. We have to fight it solo, and that doesn't even matter a tiny bit here, honestly. So Ordeal's done. More spells for Pankraz is the big thing, but we've got Fatal, and the kid's already got Quake for Flanders because of that egg, so basically this is Palom is going to carry Fu over till Fu can start carrying the rest of the team, it looks like.
Absolutely, although that Quake does not quite finish off the Dark Imps here. We'll probably need to just get everyone through another round of attacks. Does take down Edward and Palom, but should be able to get him back up. This might actually be a little bit of a snag here. Won't necessarily be like a big problem, but this is a bit of a rough moment right now.
Yeah, gonna drop an Ice 2 here. I don't think this is real sketchy yet. It's just more of a nuisance than anything. You want to have Palom alive in particular, but you take what you can get and you get through the fights here.
Absolutely. I'm interested in who this character ends up being, because I feel like while there's always... I mean, there's an open character slot, so it's going to improve your party regardless, as long as it's not a dupe. But I feel like this is one of those rare seeds where you're not looking for specific characters like we see in a lot of other seeds in this flag set. You're not necessarily looking for Atella. If you want to do that sort of grind, you'll probably have weak on Grandpa anyways. It's probably fine to not have anything else. You don't really need an edge, because a giant grind is going to be better for possibly later. I mean, there's not really much you could be specifically looking for in a character check here.
It's fair. At 1300, both runners are going to get the microwave, so Flanders is going to get online pretty quickly here as well with this fight, even without doing ordeals. So it's all well, fine, and good right now. Pankraz is just mauling the sisters as well, microwaves the center sister, and then just decides it's time to just take out the other two with a bow. Our character's Sid, so the power level not going up immensely here or anything, but you got a person who can equip an axe at least. And Dark Knight Cecil greets us here, so this is completely free. Nothing to worry about here. Maybe you just life a character for, you decide to life a character for experience points. Doesn't even do that, so it's just going to be Fu and Sid getting the experience at this point, and we'll see what item we get from Dwarf Castle in a sec.
I guess I kind of take back what I just said a little bit. I feel like Sid is one of the better options you can get here, because having just that sort of backup chemist, if necessary, might be one of the better things to have for this team, where it looks like we might be heading towards reflect strats later on down the line.
That's legitimate. Pankraz is going to go ahead and give us the objective play rather than the kind of gambly Dwarf Castle play. Both our runners took a play that was not a direct objective looking for something. Pankraz climbing ordeals, Flanders doing Dwarf Castle. Both of them, at this point in time, didn't get Mist Dragon, at least. But Pankraz did get knowledge that he is one of 2 items away from Go Mode, and Flanders does not have that information just yet.
Yeah, and I almost feel like if he's gone this far without going to ordeals, he's getting less and less incentivized to go to ordeals. He doesn't need a... He doesn't need more spells at this point in time. He's going to be better off going into other places, at least from his perspective. And there's the Darkness Crystal from Dwarf Castle. We have 25-minute go mode on Flanders' side.
That's the optimal get from there. I don't know, maybe Pankraz goes there after taking out this turtle in the tower, but yeah, that's real good. That was the super cannon spot, by the way, so Kanazo has 1,000 health and just gets dropped. Rosa just sniping away even more at this point.
Yeah, and even if he doesn't end up going there, there's every chance that he gets the Earth Crystal from one of these 2 checks up here. I think the question on Flanders' side right now is he's sitting at 7 key items. I don't think he'll take the super cannon room at this point. I think he just forgo getting 10 and just get that one objective out of the way.
Nah, I love the super cannon play here. Like, it gets you to 8-9, and if it's the Pan might be 1. Pan opens up a freebie check. There's some options here, I think, that give you good outs to 10. 10's gonna be real hard to come by, but you would need to get 2 items here, one of which is the Pan, and then the Pan leads to an item, and then you've got your 10. Also, we have to remember, and I'm bad at this particular piece of math, the crystal will be an item that you get as well. However, Cave Bahamut's a pain in the butt.
Well, there's a free boss at top of tower, so I was going to say, unless it's like King and Queen Eblin at Cave Bahamut, but apparently my prediction powers have summoned King and Queen Eblin to the wrong spot in this case, so this is just going to be a quick wait through at this point.
Yeah, a lot of health, so, you're not incentivized to actually fight it. Maybe put the controller down, grab a drink, get a stretch. Consider that this feed, if this is an Earth Crystal, both our runners will have virtual go mode in under 30 minutes.
If either of these is an Earth Crystal, Pankraz has a huge advantage. If any of these is not the Earth Crystal, then I feel like Flanders has that huge advantage instead. So we'll see. It's going to be a tense couple minutes here.
Yeah, I mean, Flanders is going to take a safety save here and roll up on the king and queen and I guess just stand there for a hot minute and go, oh, hey, hi, how's it going? And then, maybe get back to playing free enterprise afterwards.
Definitely. It looks like FF4FE was not up for waiting today. He's just going to completely knock over the king as quickly as possible and just get through that fight. So we'll see what this check is here very quickly. Does get Quake onto his Palom at this point, so that'll help out a little bit as well.
I can't believe that FF4FE just decided to choose Regicide. What the heck? It is a package, so it is a key item, though. That's super important as well. So FF4FE now on 7. This will put Flanders out to 8.
I'm not sure if you're FF4FE or either runner, you sit through that package, so I kind of think we won't see that package check anyways, unless you're really desperate to get rid of Edward. And at this point in time, I would kind of think you're just letting Edward just be there, and he's just going to cheerlead for your party at this point.
Ain't no one got time for that at this point. You are staring down, like, Flanders is in go mode, period, right? Like no questions asked go mode. You gotta go, and you gotta go now.
Definitely. We'll end up seeing what the super cannon check was too soon on FF4FE's side. He's on his way down at this point in time. I gotta think he has to, not has to, but I think he probably goes to Dwarf Castle from here. So we'll see how this race is shaking out a bit more once he gets there, because I feel like there's not really much else on the table that's going to be particularly appealing to him.
Yeah, but we're going to get a look at this item here for FF4FE. It is just a life staff, so no easy route to 10 here for our runners. And this is going to push FF4FE, directly to Dwarf Castle. I'm not too shocked by this one.
Well, here's the big question is, does Flanders do that super cannon check on the way out, or does he just decide, you know what, I'm going to go grind and we're going to do this from here on out? And that's going to make all the difference in the world. They are both through that lower Babel boss check at this point in time, both at 3 out of 4 objectives. So, yep, he's going to go for that super cannon room.
Yeah, he kind of understands that key items will matter here if you need to do some sort of grind. Also killed off Rosa and Palom at this point in time, so maybe trying to set up some levels with the Sid to get a sling going here. So if it's going to decide to grind D Machine, is going to try to get a double sling out of it for the mages that matter the most.
Definitely, and that could really be a big thing. The thing about the super cannon room, the only reason why I would expect that a runner would miss it is just because of that cutscene at the bottom of the tower taking quite a while, but I think that 10th key item might get there, but at this point in time, he's going to get to the bottom of the tower, realize he's still stuck at a total of 7. I think you got to cut your losses at 7 and just go for the grind right then instead of trying to hunt 3. Although I guess he has package as well, so he should have 8, not 7.
Chad is talking a lot about the Fu and Friend stratagem, which is a really interesting strategy that I am not 100% versed in. It's something I've been trying to learn. But it involves using Fu Reflect and Fu's incredible power, plus a handful of elixirs to basically let Fu Soya, with a little bit of help from his pals, solo through Zeromus.
I think that's a possibility. But I feel like if you have to get through cave value regardless, and you have a darkness crystal, you might as well just do a grind, because it might still come out ahead of trying to do Fu and Friends once you get there. I'm not exactly the most versed in Fu and Friends either, but it does, from memory, end up being one of those slower strats, sort of similar to a low-level strat, so even if you could do it, it might still not come out ahead.
Yeah, can't really do Edward strats because there's no J-items in shops. There's not a really great way to get your hand on, like 25 Star Veils and 20 or so vampires here either. So, we're definitely going to grind at some point in time. If we've got weak on Fu, there's a chance that both our runners are just going to head on up to the Giant right now and simultaneously grind, because you know what? we need this race to be as close as possible.
Yeah, right now the thing that's scaring me on Flanders' side, honestly, and it's great when a race might come down to this, but he doesn't have the pass that Pankraz has, and that might be a really big deciding factor right now.
Yeah, I mean, 32 minutes, and just to think that both these runners did all of the same checks, except PFFankraz also ran up ordeals and did all 3 bosses on ordeals, it kind of shows that, hey, sometimes you got to make a gamble to stay in the race, and that gamble is probably keeping Flanders in this race, honestly. But on the flip side of the coin, dang, PFFankraz is fast. PFFankraz hasn't waited for anything at this point in time. He's just chewing through anything that's in his way.
Absolutely. It is looking like Flanders is going to go ahead and check the Cave Bahamut boss first before doing anything else, which is interesting. I almost kind of feel like you might want to be tempted to check that lunar character just for something to replace Edward, because regardless of your opinion on Edward, you do have to admit that we have nothing for him at this point in time. So that's an interesting point there, but maybe you're hoping for something there that you can slingshot as well.
I mean, there is a nice warm spot on the bench for him, honestly.
Well, there's a boss that we shouldn't have any problem with whatsoever here at very least, so that should be something that Flanders can get through pretty easily here, as it's one of the Mylons. I feel like Mylon Z might pose a slight problem, but Mylon and Friends now.
I mean, the big problem with Mylon Z in particular, Mylon and Friends is exactly what we wanted to see, though. The big problem with Mylon Vanilla here, or Mylon Z, excuse me, is that Mylon Z will melee you. In this spot, he will melee you for immense amounts of damage.
Alright, who's this moon character? I need to know who the moon character is. It's Grandpa number 2. Nope, no thanks, goodbye.
Yeah, PFFankraz is not interested in Old Man Tella here, because he's in Go mode and has access to the pass. So he doesn't even need to go walk through that Tella. He can just leave him there on the moon wondering why we froze all the cake yesterday and why he's not getting any today.
And hey, shout out to all the Edward fans in chat who just got to witness a moment where like, ugh, Tella, I'd rather have my Edward still.
I think it's because they're both really bad at this point.
Probably. But still, you know, if you were looking for the moment when Edward shines, it's when the only other option is slightly worse. Hashtag free the spoon.
Hashtag 4 character strats.
Oh, it's looking like Pankraz is going to pop a siren down here.
Oh, this is definitely to set up a sling on Palom here, because as you can see, Palom is, what's the word we're looking for here? Oh yeah, dead.
He does seem to be very dead, and also I'd like to note that he's sort of got his white silver dyed hair here to sort of fit in with the grandpas we've seen in the seed. This really is the grandpa seed. You know, you've got Fu, you got Atella, you got Grandpa Palom, you got Sid. Edward, I guess, counts in this case, sure.
But yeah, so this is a thing that a lot of runners will potentially try to set up, which is by killing off your mages in the mid-game after getting some use out of them in the early game. You can then utilize them to set up a slingshot later, i.e., say, on the giant. Which can be a really useful way to get a pile of experience points and not have to worry too much about not getting utility in the early game as well. Keeps things flexible, which is always really nice here. And so PFFankraz is going to raise up Rosa, and then before Fusoya takes up the staff and destroys the dragon with it.
Here's the question. Do you slingshot Edward for the sake of slingshotting Edward as well? I mean, why not?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Why slingshot one character when you can slingshot 2? Look how perfectly he's set up for that now, right? You got Edward at like 13, right? And you've got Palom at 24, but your middle character's at 30. That's set up perfectly. Like, that is a exact amount of experience that he needed to get this off the ground at this point. Oh no, Sid's at 28, that's bad. This is not going to work, I apologize. Sid is at 28. Sid needs to be at 29. So he needs to take one more fight to get this off the ground. So he's going to turn on encounters. He noticed it too. And he needs to fight one more thing to get Sid one level.
Yeah, the only real downside for Pankraz at this point, even though he has that slingshot set up extremely well, is the question of how much time he's spending on setting it up. Not just in terms of this fight and that Siren fight, but also the walk down to Cave Bahamut that he's going to have to do again afterwards. As well as, I would assume, if he's not taking the boss down at the bottom of Cave Bahamut, he's going to go do whatever grind he's doing now. And so, because of that, that travel time might eat into some of the advantage there. He'll probably still get a bit ahead of that, though.
So, I disagree a little bit. I think that the time you take setting up the slingshot really makes it easier, because now you only need, like, 7 D machines, I think it is right now. I haven't done the math. I'm not looking at the spreadsheet. It's either 7 or 8 right now. To get Palom 14 or 16 D machines worth of experience points here. You know, getting him around 700,000 experience points is pretty much where you want to be. Pankraz is going to go ahead and land at Toroya first, though. I guess he wants items?
Yeah, and just to clarify, I do agree that that slingshot is worth setting up in this case. I more mean that it'll eat into the time that he's gaining a little bit here.
Yeah, that's fair. It's real interesting kind of where the math will play out on that, especially because he had to take that extra encounter and he did not get it very quickly.
Definitely, and it looks like he is going to be heading over to the Giant right now, and I think Flanders is going to be heading over to the Giant, and I believe we are about to see the wonders of dual grinding time.
I know, Flanders looks like he's got something else to do at this point in time. Flanders is going to climb ordeals looking for 10. He's on 9 key items right now with that crystal. He's going to climb ordeals looking for 10, and he's just going to get the pass. I mean, as items go, it's going to be a good one. Also, maybe he doesn't have weak is also the other thing Chad is mentioning, and so I didn't see where weak popped out, so maybe he needs these extra bosses. If you just needed to check a boss, I think Waterfall might be the safer call for that, if anything, but this makes sense.
Yeah, and the thing about the pass, for those of you who are somewhat new to the randomizer and might not be familiar, we talk a lot about 10 key items, because when you hit that 10 key items, you gain double experience from that point. The pass does not count towards that, so when he gets the pass, if he goes through this whole check, he's still not going to have that 10 key items. And all he'll really be saving is those few minutes in terms of walking down the subterranean. It might still come out slightly ahead, but this is going to end up not paying off in the way that he was expecting it to.
There's weak. He's just going to turn around and leave. Yeah, he's doing... no, he's going to complete. He's going to complete here, looking for 10 key items as well. I thought he might have considered turning around with weak in hand and just deciding to go grind.
Yeah, I gotta think that he was probably thought about it a little bit more and was like, well, I'm already here. I might as well quickly do that, as we do see that he is currently at a total of 30 on the count, so he should be fine there. I didn't know the count gets mirrored in this back attack spot. I've never seen back attack played before. That's very fun.
Back attack plague is timing many runners in the day because of that speedy timer, and you have to be really careful of it.
Well, has gotten through this with EO seconds left on the clock at this point in time. Shouldn't have too much of a problem getting through that fight that honestly went over so quickly on Pankraz's side. I don't even remember who the boss was there anymore. We'll have his pass in hand soon. And also, he just got Berserk onto his Fu, so that'll be another thing that would be great if he had anyone to use it on.
Yeah, it's Dark Elf in there, by the by, which was 2 swings, I believe, to just get the quick finish there.
Yeah, he's not a particularly scary boss. He's not even particularly scary where he's supposed to be. But I think the question is, who's ahead at this point? I'm not sure there's a clear answer. My gut says that it's probably Pankraz a little bit, just because he has that slingshot set up to sort of cut into the grind a little bit. Does still have to do Cave Bahamut, but has that pass as well. Flanders will still have to do his grind, but it will also have the pass, so that'll even out a little bit. I'm kind of tempted to say that Pankraz is a bit ahead because he's already a bit into his grind and it might be shorter, but we'll end up seeing here.
Yeah, it's kind of real tense here. The big thing also is just I think Pankraz has just gone through a lot of the bosses in the seed just quicker at this point. Like I think it doesn't seem like it's been a lot, but I'm pretty sure it's probably added up because Pankraz has just done a little bit of everything a little bit faster.
Definitely, and it's not even down to like any real wrong choice on either side either. They took very divergent routes, but the routes feel like they've basically added up to the same amount of time, and it's just been those little bits of technical things along the way. But we'll end up seeing here. I mean, anything could happen, really.
Yeah, I mean Pankraz is a tough competitor for sure. I mean, like as players go, he is one of the toughest outs out there, like realistically.
Yeah, and when you're in that position, you gotta do what Flanders is doing and just really go all out the entire time. Just take a few gambles here and there, just keep plugging at it. And it's been such a close race so far, and will still be a close race. There is always the chance that something goes slightly wrong on the Z fight over on Pankraz's side, and this still kind of ends up being a problem down the line. But we'll see where Flanders goes from here. It looks like he's heading up towards the Fabul area, maybe thinking he didn't turn in Sheila 1 at that point.
Potentially, or is just looking for items at this point in time.
Maybe he wrote down where items are. Yeah, no, he's just buying Ether 2s. That's a good point. Yep.
Yep, gotta have those on hand.
Who pays attention to what's in shops? I know I don't.
I try to when I'm racing, but it's another layer of complexity on top of everything else you're doing when you're under a high pressure situation can be really hard. The fact that he was able to fly there and go, he did like one quick loop around Mysidia and went right to the Ether 2s. I'm pretty impressed by that.
The value of strong note taking at very least. Now he's going over to Silvera to apparently not get what he thought he was going to get there. So we'll see where he's going from here. Just doing this last bit of shopping to get ready for that grind before getting ready for the Z fight. I'm almost wondering if he's considering not doing a grind, and that might be why he's doing some of this shopping, hoping for enough potions and like that to try and get him through a bit easier.
Popping into Mysidia, doing a little bit more shopping. The D machines keep dropping for Pankraz at this point in time, just pushing through one at a time.
Yeah, I gotta think that all this time Flanders is spending shopping right now is just eating into this time that Pankraz is still grinding. I don't think he has too many D machines left at this point. If I believe you'd mentioned 7 as a possible number, I think he's probably getting very close to that at this point.
Yeah, it's got to be around 7 or 8 at this point, so, he's probably closing in on finishing this up. Flanders is doing the setup to do the manip on ground, by the way, rather than doing the manip in the giant. This was discovered because we had can't run for the last tournament, and then everyone was just like, oh yeah, we could just do easy fights and kill them. It's like, oh.
Yeah, it was that was one of my favorite things that's happened as a viewer in the community, was noticing like, hey, can't run, maybe this will knock out D machine grind. And there's nothing wrong with D machine grind, it's just a really good efficient opportunity. But then the second that everyone found that out, it was like, well, that didn't work out quite the way we expected it to, did it?
You know what they say about the best laid plans, right?
Absolutely, someone will try and find a way around them and will succeed. But it really speaks to like the ingenuity of our community in figuring that out, though. So Flanders now on his way into the giant, going to be heading into his D machine grind here soon, has that all sorted out. Pankraz probably going to be on his way out here pretty quickly. Now is a good time as any to give a quick shout out, of course, to both of our runners, but also to our restream team behind the scenes, for Oscar424 doing the actual restream, as well as Bahamut X doing the tracking today, both doing a wonderful job as always with the trademark Asuka. It's either a horrible trash fire of a seed, or it is a jet seed moment, and this was the jet seed side.
Yeah, sometimes these seeds get to be blistering fast here, and this is kind of where we're at right now.
Absolutely, and really, I'm kind of wondering how much Pankraz has still got left at this point. I know I keep sort of circling back around to it, but at the same time, I feel like he's been doing more D machines than I would have expected him to with that slingshot ready. But he is raising up Palom, so this looks like the way out right now.
Yeah, party's over. Pankraz is going to fly up to the moon. We're going to fly him to the moon and back to go kill off Mylan and friends real quick with some quakes and then some nukes, and then we're done. So 647,000 experience points. The sling setup means that Palom is about to get levels. I mean, that was he was getting holy on Rosa. He was not pulling any punches. He wanted everything.
Probably going full reflect with Chemist at this point, I would think.
Yeah, he was there to get it all, it looks like.
Well, that is going to be it for his grind here at this point in time. Just needs to get out of the giant now, and that will be on his way. Sub 1 hour, I'm not quite sure if we're going to hit it, but it's going to be very close.
Yeah, there may be a little bit of Zeroma sketch up ahead, but like it's not going to be that bad. It's not like with agility the way it is. This is not a fairly standard try reflect. It looks like it's gonna be a little bit odd, and I'm sure that we're gonna see Pankraz show us some things on the Zeromus fight that all runners who are trying to learn to get better at the Zeromus fight should probably do.
Definitely, and you know, he's really showing off why he's the #1 seed, but also Flanders is showing off why being #1 seed is not a safe bet in this tournament at all. You know, this has been a very close race up to this point. Will probably still continue to be. Pankraz still needs to go up and get that crystal, but that'll be the last bit here. Parking the whale already at Troya. So really just, you know, you would think if you aren't familiar with how strong our racing community has gotten over the past few years that like, oh, #1 versus #34, this might be a walkover, but this has still been an extremely tight and extremely tense race all the way through, and just the level of skill is really impressive.
I'm reminded of one of the finest sayings of many, many runners, I believe Pankraz included, but I might be making up some history here, but it's, I don't ever want to be up against Dia in a jet seed. Same concept with Pankraz, honestly. I don't think anybody ever wants to be up against Pankraz in a jet seed, because man, oh man, he can just blaze through a seed. Lots of tiny efficiencies, lots of, I gained a few seconds here and there.
Definitely. This is definitely going to be a great race to watch back if you want to learn some of those little things through here. And also if you want to learn like how the routing kind of changes the way you approach a seed, because both runners, again, took very different routes that both seem like pretty valid decision routes through the entire seed.
Yeah, absolutely. Possum is just letting me know that it was him who actually originally said that, and I'm kind of impressed by that.
Like being against Tyson in a boxing match. That's a sports reference.
Big sports, everybody.
That's as far as I know.
So Pankraz is warming up the microwave here. He's got it on. I don't know what he's got the microwave on at this point in time. It looks like it's on. It looks like it's on warm gently. Oh, no, who am I kidding? It's on destroy this tank fight.
Yeah, I gotta say, this is a much faster way through this fight than we saw Flanders through. I mean, obviously he's done a grind Flanders hadn't at this point. But yeah, this is over pretty quickly here. I think this white might even do it. Maybe one more after this.
Just letting the big magic rip here. Just, you know, just getting a lot of damage in a very short period. He's even menuing. He doesn't need to be menuing right now. He's even menuing right now.
It's It's just those little tiny optimizations, like trying to move the silk webs up in his inventory so that it's easier for him to grab them when it's time to get to that Z fight, is just one of those little things that you don't think about in terms of how you can optimize your gameplay, but it's one of those things that you save a second here, you save a second there, you do that 30 times and you saved a minute, you do that 30 times, you saved half an hour, you do that 30 more times, you don't even have to play the seed, you already beat it. So really at that point in time, you know, any little optimization is really interesting to look at.
And that's not how time works.
Are you sure?
Yes.
I want to see the tournament in which, you know, you mark my words, ZZ5, the winner of ZZ5, just finished his seed in the finals right now.
No. Speaking of time, though, Pankraz has got a bunch of levels, 4 objectives, a big shiny crystalline rock in his back pocket. I think y'all know what time it is.
I think it's time where, you know, those flags are... You ever seen a flag in a windstorm where it is just flapping as hard as humanly possible? Even though it's a flag and thus not human and thus not really constrained by the restraints of what's humanly possible, but still. Yeah, that's where we're at right now. This is blazingly fast, and we are almost to this fight right now. We're about to see the one of 500 plus different appearances that can be hidden behind this Aroma sprite. Yeah, it's getting to be about that time.
Chad, it's been too short today. We're gonna get a butted under an hour though. So I guess the question is, are we gonna get sub 60 butt or not? We're gonna get.
Question is, in this case, will the butt be done in 60 minutes or less, or your pizza's free? There is no pizza.
There is no pizza in the pillow fort.
I feel it's important to note that as a disclaimer. If you feel like you should get your pizza, remember #feedback and ideas at Rivers.
He even kept the Artie bow on Palom to start the fight to just juice up his agility. That's a really neat trick that you can do, even though it reduces your magic stats. He's going to use Bluff to just fix that real quick. So going to take that minus 10 and just ignore it by bluffing and getting back up to +5. Going to throw the crystal here with Edward, and it's party time. Harkening back from his appearance in the Lollyho League, of course, you know, Pankraz has already fought this sprite before on stream. It's your boy, it's the King Giat, out for a stroll with his axe.
Well, I guess it makes sense that the Dwarf Castle had Darkness Crystal today then, if he was just, you know, that's how he got here. Just, you know, has all the airships capable of moon travel at this point in time, it seems.
He made a copy.
You wouldn't download a Darkness Crystal.
yes, you would. But yeah, setting up, we're going to get a Silk Web. We did find 1 Silk Web in boxes, so he's going to use that to help set up. Palom getting nuked is not who you want to see here, though. Only has Cure 2s, so going to just try to top him up a little bit here, just to make sure that he doesn't bite the dust as his first big bang, which would be a real frightening way for this to play out, honestly, because then he'd have to immediately snap into recovery mode.
Definitely, but that Sid is just going to stand there the whole fight, ready to throw potions, so it is a little bit mitigated in terms of, you know, at very least you have an easy way of recovering. This is probably going to be just full-on reflect strats. Maybe he swings a bit here and there if he's counting HP, which I wouldn't be surprised if he is, but yeah, no, just nukes and whites, and this should be over pretty quickly given that reflect strats. For those of you who are somewhat new to the randomizer, first of all, again, welcome. But secondly, reflect strats, we should probably talk about those a little bit here.
So, Zeromus has 61,000 hit points, but normally in the vanilla game, when you knock him down to 16k, what happens is that in the background, very secretly, where you can't see, he patches himself up, he decides it's okay, and he patches himself up back to 61,000. in their randomizer or in the vanilla fight, you'll see that there's a bit of a pause in the game where Zeromus normally would be shaking and fighting, where his refill comes through instead. In this instance, we're going to bypass that because the refill is a counter script. And so to get a counter in vanilla Final Fantasy IV, you must take a direct action that deals damage to a target. Since these spells are being reflected off of a wall, it cannot trigger the counter script. Therefore, if we do 61,000 damage with reflected spells, Zeromus will die.
Absolutely. If you want a good idea of where the HP refill happens, by the way, play Pixel Remaster version of FF5, because it actually just shows you when he heals up. And you'll get a good idea of how that happens. And it's already gone?
Yeah, that's that for that. We're 8 spells in, doing about, 9 spells, doing about 7,000 a spell will kill Zeromus pretty darn quickly. That bow on Palom made all the difference, honestly. That was a stroke of genius on top of what was otherwise a very genius seed, I think. Couldn't have played that much better, honestly. I don't know if I could even touch that time, even if I tried.
Definitely. That was a very impressive 57-30, and joining us is our winner, both of the best of 3 and tonight's match, Pankraz. GG's on the wonderful Jet Seed performance today.
Hey, GG's, thank you very much.
So, just to sort of go back real quick, because there's not really much to go over on the seed, given it went by so quickly. Foo start and like that, how did that sort of shape your initial plays and what you decided to do at the start of the seed?
I knew the general gist of what I wanted to do, see what the spells Foo has, do Mistcave with the power of Lunar Staff, go around, get a bunch of early boss checks, try to get, one of those spells to get the ball rolling, whether that's a tier 2 elemental, a tier 3 elemental, virus, nuke, quake, any of those. And seed was a little bit stingy. But of course, also my initial plans were completely thrown out of whack with the starting Magma Key, naturally. So then it became this whole thing of like, okay, I've got to get underground, but I have to get these bosses, but I have to, maybe I've got a Palom as my second character. Maybe I want to pop a Siren. Maybe I don't. It was a lot of thinking very quickly, and it culminated very, very rapidly with the both halves of Forge and Fabul.
Definitely, and sort of looking at that and how that threw off your early game, I did want to ask, is there anything you would change about your route through the seed? I mean, I know hindsight is obviously 2020, and knowing the seed sort of changes that, but like if you're going back into it blind, is there anything you would consider doing differently?
The big thing would probably be skipping the Cave Bahamut boss. I'd skip, or not skipping the boss, but skipping the boss check that I initially did. I went up there, I checked for the character, I checked the shop to see if ethers were there, maybe save me a trip. But then after I checked the Dias character, I think the move is just to go back to Earth, find the ethers there, and use my Siren on a double Mac Giant fight instead of the double King Ryu fight. And then take another random in the Giant in order to get my Palom into the slingshot range. I think that the walk down there, 45 seconds or so, not necessarily needed to do that at that point. I knew what my game plan was going to be. I knew it was going to be a whole bunch of reflect strats, and, maybe the boss is free, maybe it isn't, but I'm at 8 key items. Crystal would be 9. It's not really going to change anything unless it is exactly demissed.
Yeah, especially with King, Queen, and Imps already off the table, so you've already lost a couple of your freest bosses there.
Yeah, King, Queen, Imps, Water Hag, Calbrina, a lot of things were out of the pool at that point, and nothing was going to be super quick, nothing was going to be super free, unless it was Kaipo or Baron Guards, I suppose, but even then, I'm going up there and I'm spending 45 seconds for like a 3 and 15, 3 and 16 chance. I think that is probably the one thing that I would change.
Definitely understandable. The other thing I wanted to ask you, one of the big divergences between you and Flanders' route through the seed is when you chose to do Mount Ordeals. What sort of led you to just continue sort of along that sort of vanilla-ish route through instead of trying to skip past it at any point?
For the most part, just boss checks. I didn't have any good spells on Foo, really. I had Ice 2 at end of Fubul or something like that. I wanted to try and get him some spells as fast as possible, especially with the Forge showing up then. I knew that, and the Wyvern instantly, I knew I was the Darkness Crystal from Go mode. I didn't want to skip any of the early checks because they're going to be fast at any time, and no matter which route I went, if I was going for a low-level sort of solo Fusoya strategy, or if I was going to do a big grind, in either case, I needed my food to beat up a bunch of bosses and get a lot of HP and spells. So, figured I'd continue on that, get the 3 bosses on Ordeals, get the 2 bosses and Character and Baron in. Maybe I find the Darkness Crystal in the meantime, maybe I don't, but no matter what, I get those spells that I do, or the spells and the HP that I know I'm going to need.
Definitely. And so with that extremely impressive 57:30 time through this seed, this is the first sub-hour I've ever seen in these flags at very least. You are through, of course, to the round of 32. What are your thoughts both on the tournament so far and also where you hope to go from here?
Tournament so far has been an absolute blast. I love the Sea Hero flag. I love seeing it in the tournament play. I think that it's a lot of fun to play with. There's a lot of challenge involved that varies from seed to seed. Sometimes that challenge is I have Go mode at 27 minutes or 30 minutes at a Fusoya. How in the world am I going to beat the seed? And other times they're smaller things like a Baigan at the King Queen Evelyn spot with your Edward hero, and you have no clue how in the world you're going to get through it. Or Atella solo fighting Demist in the Ordeals 3 chamber. There are a lot of just little challenges that rise up, which makes it a lot of fun and adds a lot of fresh flavor. And then in terms of where I want to go, I mean, hopefully I can continue on playing as well as I am, and fingers crossed, make the finals or win the whole thing. That is my hopeful goal, to keep the crown for one more tournament, but we will see if I am able to.
You definitely made a very strong case for your ability to do so today. Demi, did you have any other questions for Pankraz today?
I'm just still blown away by how you played that seed. I'm sorry, it's just too much. 57:30 is just stellar in every way.
The seed dropped a lot of tools into my lap early on with like 1100 HP nuke and of course a Fusoya as the hero character. But yeah, I'm definitely glad that I was able to execute at my high level and get through the seed in a nice, crisp sub-hour.
Definitely. Did you have any final thoughts for us today?
Nope, that should just about do it. Massive GG's to Flanders in the series. I spun the wheel and it decreed your fate, so I am sorry on that front, but great series. Looking forward to watching this one back. Looking forward to hearing all of your commentary, Anthem Demarine. Looking forward to see the show that Asuka put on and the buttons that Bahamut lit up. Thank you, all of you on the Restream team, for the show, and I'm looking forward to watching it back.
All right, well, thank you very much for the wonderful performance and for the race, and GG's once again. We'll catch you in the next one.
Thank you very much. Y'all have a good rest of the night.
And with that, Flanders is on his Z fight, going to be following very hot in Pankraz's footsteps. I believe also going for that reflect strat. I think he might have had to take another quick little bit because I think he didn't quite hit nuke off of his D machine grind, but he's well on his way now at this point.
Yeah, he's flying along here as well with basically the same setup. I think he's taking it a little bit more safely. There's a Cure 4 coming out on Rosa here just to make sure that everything kind of stays smooth. Which is understandable. You know, if you're not like, you have to understand that Pankraz is super confident in his speed setup and super confident in a lot of what he did there, which can be really, really powerful. But I mean, you take it safe. You use the Cure 4. Maybe you have to cast maybe you consider having to cast a second Star Veil because of Black Hole, and it's fine. Like, that's kind of where it goes sometimes.
Absolutely. It's just one of those things where I feel like this fight is deceptively a lot more fluid than you would think it was, because you think reflect strats is pretty much going to go the same way every time. That is unfortunate that that black hole came out right there, though.
Goodbye, Sid.
By Sid, and Fu has a white targeted out too, which could be a double problem there. No,
Well,
that's okay.
spells
That's just 'cause it's okay.
thankfully spells fizzle rather than physical attacks which retarget.
I've been playing too much of the Pixel remaster because I'm pretty sure if you knock one of your party members over in that, it auto retargets onto one of the enemies. It is the worst thing to have happen to you suddenly. This agility situation is a little bit of a problem, though. This is a very fast Zeromus right now.
Yeah, if you didn't get the Silk Web off and everything, it's Sketch City here, and Flanders is going to take a death here. This is what's been happening to a lot of runners, you know, who are like, we've all grown so used to having good agility. Like, you've got cursed rings, you've got the ability to set whatever agility anchor you want by putting him in the center slot. You know, at this point in time, it would just be Edward with a cursed ring at level 5. We don't get that easy breezy agility situation anymore at this point in time in these flags. That's been really part of the challenge for, you know, a lot of our runners is, oh god, how do I deal with my agility? It's not so great. Oh god.
Yeah, and it's one of those things that's a difficult concept to, like, really wrap your head around if you're newer to the randomizer 2, or if you're not 100% confident in it. Even if you've been around for quite a while, like, part of the reason why I never try and explain agility when I'm doing commentary is because I would not be able to do so properly. It's sort of a bit of a nebulous thing. So this is really sort of creating that situation in which it really shows who's done the studying to really, really understand how that agility affects your game.
Yeah, I mean, people think a lot about agility in terms of, you know, it being absolutely good or absolutely bad, but there's a lot of breakpoints and there's a lot of things you can do to sometimes mitigate the disadvantages. You know, you saw Pankraz going in there with the Artemis bow on Palom. You see people setting up to try to have fast mages. You'll see like Lifestaff Heroine Robe Rosa to get the agility but nullify the minus willpower. You know, or minus willpower, or whatever the white magic stat is. I never get them right. And so that your mages stay fast enough to be useful in a reflect strat. And all of that's really important, and all of that takes a long time to kind of internalize and stay on top of.
Definitely, but Flanders has gone back to his attempt number 2. I'm not sure if he had turned down the battle speed on his first attempt either, or if he just saved before he did it on that first run through, but if he hadn't before, that'll help out a little bit too. Battle speed 1 is faster than it is really physically possible to go, honestly, so that'll definitely give him quite a bit more time, and I gotta think that he just had a bit of an unfortunate run last time.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just real tough. It's, you know, you set everything up right, you try to make sure you get your slowdown on Zeromus, and then all of a sudden things sort of fall apart.
Definitely, and it's one of those things that we say all the time when we get to one of these Z fights, is it's never a guarantee, and this is just really showing how much of a not guarantee it can be if it gets out of hand. But has his Edward hidden away here, ready to pop back out and throw potions if need be. Sid has that wall up on him. This is looking already fairly stable here. It has thrown the crystal again for another nerf, I believe, at this point.
Yeah, you can nerf with the crystal just to make sure that you get those reduced damage big bangs. But again, the nuke comes out. Like, the threatening thing with this party is that the nuke comes out, and if it hits anybody and then big bang comes out, even if it's nerfed, that character just dies, right? Like, 900 damage is not a lot normally, but in this situation, it is far and away enough to kill Palom, unfortunately.
And I think this is a really good case study in how mage parties face the Zeromus fight when you look at the comparison with Pankraz's fight. So I don't want to make it seem like Flanders has misexecuted anything, because he hasn't. But Pankraz had the smoothest fight possible with this party, basically. And so you can kind of see, you know, what can go wrong off the basis of this. And based on that, this is showing that risk reward that mages are. You can have the really fast reflect strat fight, or you can have the nuke hit the wrong person and then they're already gone with Big Bang, and now another Big Bang's coming out and it's going to be a bit tough to recover from that point.
Yeah, mage parties don't snap back very well from character deaths, honestly, especially if your agility is bad, because you can see that Zeromus is just zipping along. He's just taking a ton of actions and just getting shakes off, and without two slows, if you have bad agility, it goes from bad agility to worse agility. It's rough. And again, it's nothing against these runners. It's just game hard. This is not a situation you get yourself into every day if you're playing this game. Even with the opportunity to D-Machine grind, you got to do it fast enough and take as little experience as you can, because you have to get into the Zeromus fight. You have to go fast in a racing situation.
Absolutely, and I think that's another thing with these flags too, is you have the situation which you are forced into these harder Zeromus fights, because you can't just buy a bunch of Star Veils, do 1200 strats. It's a little bit technical, but pretty stable. You can't just buy a bunch of Star Veils and do Edward strats if you're versed in that and have a half hour to spare. But you have to do these difficult fights to go fast, and it's really a great feature of this flag set, in my opinion.
Even fights that have looked like they're going to be walkovers based upon stats and character setups have stymied a lot of runners so far. And that Big Bang just crushes Sid, crushes Palom. That's just awful. This virus comes out and crushes the rest of the party as well, and now Edward's got to come out and save the day. I'm not sure. I don't like Edward's odds.
I don't either. It's just this is way too fast of a Zeromus right now to be dealing with at the moment, because he's just not having time to recover at this point.
Yeah, it looks like that's less of a reset and more of a I'm gonna shut down my console. I'm good. I think this is a forfeit, but let's get official word at this point. Given that Flanders is here, I believe that is going to be a forfeit. An unfortunate one, always tough to see it, but GG Flanders, you got a tough assignment in round one, and you tried real hard, and you stepped up in a lot of ways, and that Zeromus fight's just rough. How are you feeling?
15 minutes ago, expletives. Now, I feel fine. I'm actually more just irked that I didn't get my PB for the highlight for the Zemus Zone with that last bit, because I was like, ooh, cool, a Jet Seed. I have all 4 objectives and levels prior to an hour. And in at 57 minutes or whatever it was, which I think is the first sub-hour. I'm like, okay, if I'm gonna lose, I'm glad I'm losing to one of the only, if not the first sub-hour. I'm fine with that. But I wanted my PV2, darn it, and Zeromus said no. It was a Giada Nomus tonight, so whatever. It's okay.
Yeah, you might look back at Pankraz's race, but what he did was he threw he had the Artemis bow on Palom and Heroin robe with healer staff on Rosa to set their agility at a better point.
Yeah, never. I didn't go. I would assume that was something like an Eblin check. I don't know. I never went to Eblin, so I didn't have any of that item. I had absolutely nothing for armor and weaponry.
Yeah, I think he shopped up.
Robe was in Tomra in this seed.
Yeah, it was a shopped up purchase. He actually he bought a Heron robe and bought an Artemis bow.
Oh, okay.
So
yeah,
basically sold the farm for those two things and some ethers.
Nice. Yeah, I had nothing. I just said I had levels in a dream.
Yeah, usually enough, but agility is tough, and it just kind of shows that the game can be real hard sometimes.
Yeah. But glad I made it. Glad I made it to the tournament. This is a really cool experience, because last time I think I did. I can't remember if it was Lally Hole or Highway to the Zemus Zone, but I got just underneath the cutoff for that. So to get in is pretty cool. I think I played about as well as I could have. Sometimes Rando's gonna Rando, and sometimes Zeromus is gonna give you a rough time, and just happened to be tonight. I got a rough time. It's okay. It happens.
You know, most of the way through that seed, we didn't know who was going to win it, and I think that says quite a bit about how well you performed in it. And sort of going back and looking at it, obviously outside of the Zeromus fight, the big question I have, another big difference that ended up between you and Pankraz in terms of your route through, was your fading mount ordeals. What led to your decision to do that in this particular seed?
I'm trying to kind of go back into my head of what I had at that point. I had Rosa, Palom, and Fusoya, I think, and that was my party, I think. And then I was right in front of tower. I scrambled an egg, and I had just enough magic power after Dwarf Castle, and I had the Darkness Crystal, and I was like, I have 2 objectives sitting right in front of me. So why am I going to go necessarily do ordeals until like I need weak on Fusoya? So that was kind of my mindset, was like, the first thing to me, the most important thing is to do the objectives and get into go mode, and then figure it out kind of from there. And the only real reason I did ordeals was to get Fusoya up to full power at that point, because I was like, well, yeah, I need HP to actually survive Big Bang, so that would...
Yeah, definitely. And, you know, it was a very solid decision at that point. It was a bit unfortunate that it ended up being the pass and sort of might have informed your route a bit more from there, but I think...
Yeah, I saw that, and I was like, I hope he faded ordeals. And I was like, maybe, I don't know, because those objectives were right there, and I was like, maybe he faded it. Who knows? I don't know. Because I almost ran off of ordeals when I got weak. I almost was like, I'm going to leave. Never mind. Let me go finish this because he needs HP.
Yeah, definitely. And, you know, again, you ran an amazing race. Even yesterday, too, I've watched a good portion of that. It was close all the way through. Do you have any thoughts for where you might like to go from here in terms of future tournaments and like that? You already talked a bit about your journey in this one, but... are you sort of looking forward and ready to get into the next one at this point?
Yeah, yes. I say that very, like, it sounded like apprehensively, but yeah, of course, I'm always ready to race and ready to learn and do that. This is a good flag set for learning some of the more technical aspects that I hadn't done before. So, like, learning how to do D-machine grinds and find that, you know, that I know everybody's like, oh, it always turns into a D-machine grind, but ultimately, like, it's a mechanic that's available. I hadn't really had to use that before because every other tournament has the J items for purchase much. So that was cool and a new piece of it to learn, and I think it helped me, like, I'm always looking to strengthen my ability to route, and I think the Enterprise races do that.
Definitely. Demi, did you have any other questions for Flanders today?
No, as always, a lot of fun watching you run, and excited to see you, well, get back on it, you know, when we get back to streaming community races and the like.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. And with that, I think that's another one in the books for today.
Feels like it was over before it started. What a blistering seed.
Yeah, I mean, I've been sort of... every time anyone at the start of one of these races asks me on comms, hey, what do you want to see out of this? I'm like, I want to see a jet seed. Now I've seen one. And it feels like it almost... I don't want to say it feels like it almost never happened, because it feels like it sort of discounts this race, but it was just that quick.
I mean, the big thing about jet seeds is they're non-stop. This seed was just non-stop, wall-to-wall, just decision after decision after decision. Not a lot of backtracking, not a lot of running over each other. Just go, go, go.
Absolutely, and I believe, speaking of non-stop wall-to-wall, we still have more races going on our other channels today. I believe we're going to end up sending everyone over to the Xenocat v Harumph race, Game 1 over on Free Enterprise from here.
Should be another great one. Two really good runners, both of whom are really looking to break through, and that should be a heck of a match as well. So, just keep on going. We've got so many matches this week, and the party ain't going to stop at this point. So, again, thank you all for coming out.
Absolutely, and thank you again to our Restream team, Oscar424 on the Restream and Amit on the tracking, as well as thank you, Demi, for joining me once again on commentary. Always a blast, as always, and thank you to both of our runners. Remember, when we get over to the raid here, no spoilers for the race today, and hope you all enjoy the rest of the wonderful day of Free Enterprise racing we have left for you.
Good night, everybody.